Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm a big fan of Victor Davis Hanson. I think that he's just invaluable. Just the way that he can boil down complicated issues down to their essence in a way that pretty much anybody can understand it. And he does it without pretension and without ego. Again, I think he's one of the most valuable people on the media landscape. If you're looking for, some foundational insight, Victor Davis Hanson is one of the main guys. Anyway, I've got an article by him from the nationalreview.com. Former intelligence chiefs fit perfectly into media advocacy culture. And he's talking about Comey, Clapper, McCabe, Brennan, and how they've become kind of an integral part of this new advocacy journalism, which has been taken up in the digital age by, the paper of record, CNN, MSNBC. Anyway, let's get into this article. And I just also want to say quickly before we start, Fox News is biased, and they say that they're biased. That's the difference between them and these other, cable media channels, CNN, MSNBC. They don't admit they're biased. They are openly advocates for Democrats, but they don't ever admit it. They still pretend to be objective. Anyway, let's get into the article here. I just wanted to take 1 second to ask you to please subscribe. The big tech algorithms do not like this kind of content, so if you enjoy it and you want more, you pretty much have to subscribe. Also, sharing is really the only way a channel like mine can grow, so please share if you can. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the show. We are witnessing a surreal collusion between the nation's former top intelligence officials and the progressive media. Former FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper have lots of things in common. 1. They ran the nation's key intelligence and investigatory agencies under former President Barack Obama. They were deeply involved in the Russian collusion hoax, and they participated in the surveillance of the Trump campaign and transition. Now, in my opinion, any of these things should disqualify them from ever being a guest on, any cable news show or a reliable source for any journalist. But the old rules no longer apply, so now they are fixtures. Comey and McCabe both signed applications for Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court warrants requesting surveillance on Trump campaign aide Carter Page. A report by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz criticized Comey and McCabe's FBI for falsehoods and misrepresentations during its investigation of the Donald Trump campaign. Clapper, Brennan, and the FBI helped to disseminate the fallacious Steele dossier to the press and among government agencies. 2. Comey, McCabe, Brennan, and Clapper have all lied either under oath or in the public sphere. And we knew much of this before even the Horowitz report, but the Horowitz report has taken a lot of this and a lot of the kind of deep state suspicions and made them much more than just suspicions. Anyway, let's continue. Horowitz has said that he referred Comey for criminal prosecution for leaking classified memos he wrote about his confidential conversations with the president, but the Justice Department did not pursue charges. He signed FISA warrant applications that the Inspector General has determined were misleading at best, and at worst, simply flat out wrong. In testimony before the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, there were 245 occasions on which Comey claimed he couldn't remember details or couldn't answer questions. Comey did not tell the truth when he said the Steele dossier was not the prime evidence that he submitted to the FISA court. He also lied about when he was briefed on the dossier. Keep in mind, this is a guy who's been on TV a lot and treated as credible. And anyway, let's keep going because the list just goes on and on. McCabe was given a criminal referral for lying to federal investigators. His story about conspiring to catch Trump on tape in an effort to remove him under the 25th Amendment cannot be reconciled with a version of the account told by his apparent partner in that gambit, former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Now keep in mind, people, during the Mueller report, people have gone to jail for doing far less than this. Far less than this. Only on one side, of course. Only on one side, of course. Only anybody who helped Trump in any way. But as Victor Davis Hanson here catalogs all of these abuses, it's hard to believe. Brennan has on 2 occasions lied under oath to Congress. First about collateral deaths caused by drone strikes abroad, then about CIA spying on Senate staffers' computers. Clapper got caught lying about the surveillance of U.S. citizens and claimed he gave the, quote, least untruthful answer. Both have given accounts of their knowledge of the Steele dossier that are contradicted by a number of sources. Clapper falsely claimed of the dossier that more and more of it has been corroborated, which is the exact opposite of what was revealed in the Horowitz report. Anyway, let's continue. Point 3. All 4 of these former intelligence chiefs detest the President of the United States. And one really has to wonder where these people find the moral foundation to make these claims against anybody else. I don't care who else, anybody else. Let's go through it. Comey has compared Trump to a mafia don and stated that he is morally unfit to be president. McCabe, who was likewise fired from the FBI, has called Trump's behavior disgusting. Clapper said that Trump may be working with Putin as a Russian asset. Brennan called Trump a disgraced demagogue, as well as a venal, corrupt, and immoral. You know what? Glass houses. Glass houses. This is truly amazing. Let's get on to the 4th point. All in their post-Obama administration careers are either paid cable news analysts or frequent guest commentators. Clapper is a CNN security analyst. Brennan was hired by MSNBC for a similar role. McCabe is a CNN contributor. And Comey often makes guest appearances on news programs as a political and intelligence expert. Now, after this catalog of misdeeds, no editor with any kind of integrity would use these guys. No producer would book them. Unless, of course, they served a specific purpose as advocates for their cause. If everybody's in agreement that, by any means necessary, Trump should be brought down, that's the only case where you'd use somebody like this, where the ends justify the means. I mean, these people aren't stupid. They know who they're dealing with. It's a deal with the devil, and it looks like, judging from the ratings, it's coming back to hit them pretty hard. Anyway, let's continue. In the most controversial stories, Brennan, Clapper, and McCabe are being paid to analyze theories, facts, and findings in which they themselves are often central players. As a guest commentator, Comey has weighed in on these controversies, even as he distorts his past roles in them. And, an objective host or interviewer is going to push back on these obvious distortions unless they have a common goal, unless they have an incentive to not do so, which is obviously what we're seeing. Let's jump down a little bit here. In sum, we are witnessing a surreal collusion between the nation's former top intelligence officials and the progressive media, beyond even the nightmares of so-called conspiracy theorists. I want to finish this off fairly quickly, so we'll jump down again. The conclusions of both the Mueller investigation and the Horowitz report are damning to the past analyses of all 4. In short, we know that they were not being candid or they were grossly incompetent. In the advocacy culture of our new media, ex-government officials such as Brennan, Clapper, and McCabe can be paid to appear on news programs to analyze or vindicate their own unethical behavior. And let's finish this off. As employees of the media, they sell their checkered government service to exonerate themselves while confirming the anti-Trump biases of their paying hosts. And I think, considering the ratings that a channel like CNN gets, which are very low. This is below, Nickelodeon children's programming, right? It's fairly obvious that this is all obvious, that what they're doing is quite transparent, and most people have figured it out. Especially when they use the same tricks they use against Trump, against other Democrats they don't like. They called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian plant, which is absurd. Whether or not you like Tulsi Gabbard, that is a horrific slur against her. And again, it's really transparent. And the thing about this is that when, the term fake news first came out, when Trump started using it, the media had a choice at that point. They could prove him right or they could prove him wrong. And we know which way they went. I mean, when you have four experts who are kind of the centerpiece of much of your political coverage and your national security coverage, who are publicly compromised by their own duplicity and just outright lies on topics that are as important as FISA warrants and spying on presidential campaigns and drone strike collateral damage and domestic spying. You're not reporting the news. You're picking sides. And I think at the heart of this, they think that regular people are stupid and easily manipulated. And some are. It's true, some are. And I guess that's the audience they're going for. But there's a lot of people who know when the shoe fits and when the news is fake. So, anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, I think Victor Davis Hanson is excellent. I love reading his stuff, and I love seeing his videos and his interviews. The guy's quite brilliant. And his lectures, too, especially on military history, are fantastic. So anyway, I encourage you to check out more of his stuff, whether it's on YouTube or buying one of his books or reading his articles. This one's from the National Review. Thanks a lot. Please subscribe. It's really important. The big tech algorithms do not like this kind of content. They want to hide it from you, so you pretty much have to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more like this, if you like it. If you don't have time to watch all of my amazing videos, you can listen to them in the car on the podcast. I'm on, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, CastBox, all over the place, everywhere. Everywhere there's podcasts, I am there. Thank you very much for stopping in. We'll see you next time.